Undoubtedly, you've heard the terms history repeats itself. And you most likely have seen on the news or heard your parents talking about the riots and protests going on against excessive police force and police brutality in Minneapolis and around the world. These being led by the Black Lives Matter movement and other organizations trying to create police reform or even defund police departments, which would be just a reimagining of how police are being used in the area. Um, Under the idea that history repeats itself, obviously this is not the first protest and not the first riot to ever take place fighting for people's rights. We are going to look at a protest and riot that took place in the 1960s, known as the Stonewall riots. It's the beginning of homosexual rights and the gay pride movement. And we're going to look at that through the same lens that we're going to look at what's going on currently. We could probably make some predictions as to what's happening now and to what from what happened then. Now, it's obviously not going to be exactly the same, but there are some similarities. And I'm going to just run through a quick presentation before we watch this video. So here I have a slide just showing the current protests, still the current protests. We can see these are very peaceful protests. Here, this is more of the riots that have been occurring and police getting involved with protesters in some way in a more negative sense, where either people have done something wrong or police have done something wrong. We talked about the idea that history repeats itself. That's just it there. The Stonewall riots, very similar. So you have, here we have peaceful protests, and here we have the results of the riots. There was actually a fire, lots of property destruction and fire that occurred at the actual Stonewall Inn. I want to hit some vocabulary that we're going to see in the video today. A watershed moment. A watershed moment is any important moment or a turning point. Examples in people's lives I put here: when a child or a sibling is born, a day someone gets married, but it could be something simple too as a day your braces come off, something very important that happens at this point in time. The Black Lives Matter movement and these current riots and protests, the George Floyd death would be considered a watershed moment because it is the turning point which led to these events. All right, sodomy laws. These are laws against having certain types of sex. In the video we're going to watch, they're going to speak specifically to people who are having homosexual sex. So any man and man or woman and woman sexual acts were against the law. Homophobia, a dislike or prejudice against homosexual people. And we're going to hear the word extort, which means to threaten or intimidate someone. In this instance, we have two snowmen. One is holding a hairdryer, and he's threatening to melt the other snowman. This is going to be explained as since there was a lot of homophobia in that time, people would threaten to out people, which meant they would tell their family and friends that they were gay. And that would lead to bigger problems in their lives. They might lose their jobs. They might lose their friends and family because people reacted to things quite differently than they do today. You're going to watch the video that is called How the Riot Started, or how the Stonewall riots sparked a movement. That's the video we're going to watch. Then you guys are going to do a quick form, and you should be all set. If you have any questions, please email me, and we can talk through it. All right. Good luck with